he takes out one right clicker, one anybody, and one hero who is highly mobile like a Storm Spear. So that you can fight like 3.5 on 5 or 4 on 5 instead of doing a full engagement. That sort of space really benefits a hero like Lina, who likes to be able to hang around in the fight, get her burst off, but then benefit from that Fiery Soul to throw out a lot of DPS as well through that mid-game.
10 seconds
we don't see very much Bane, even into the popularity of Storm Spirit, but he can be really effective. The problem is he's going to be standing still, he's very squishy and prone to burst, which is also high in the list of qualifications for an in-meta hero right now with Lina Bane. But most part, the Bane pick, while out of meta, seems to be pretty solid here. Gyrocopter coming out for Monkey Freedom Fighters, that's not surprising. They've run that Gyrocopter quite a bit since their formation a couple of weeks ago.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
This is our free strike. I'm hearing that you are not coming in over Dota TV. So
10 seconds remaining.
I assume it's you and not me. Yeah, but
5 seconds.
While you're trying to figure that out, we'll have to wait until we can actually see the speaker. So we apologize, guys. The Reborn client is still a little bit buggy, and last time I casted, I was unable to select heroes at all while broadcasting and the whole thing. Speaking of aggression, Clockwork going to be pulled in here. That's a great pickup against a Bane with the battery assault to just kind of automatically turn off Bane's channeling. And Visage going to come in for Monkey Freedom Fighters. Once again, a hero who's kind of been on the rise. Monkey Freedom Fighters have played him a bit lately, as have many other teams. We'll have to see how that works out for him as we do move into game number 1 here. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. It's my pleasure to be casting here for you guys, and I'm joined by Dragon Drop as soon as we figure out how to get him in Dota TV. All of our players are picking up their heroes.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Well, that's a bummer. We'll have to figure that one out as we going here. Okay, because my smooth drag button is not working, so welcome to Reborn. I apologize, everybody. My smooth drag is not working. I'll try to use arrow keys as I can here. Why don't I go ahead and run through some of the teams while you are figuring out your speed. We're going to start with Monkey Freedom Fighters. We've got Yapzor flying around on the Visage. Paris is going to be taking that Gyrocopter for a spin. Bucking Mad is going to be taking the Purple Man, with Beaver Knight taking the other purple team on the Darkseer. And WK, I believe that is Arise on the Lina. We do have a bit of a pause here, as we've got Dread for HellRaisers taking that Bloodseeker. Afro Ninja is going to be chilling out here on the Storm Spirit. Metpum is going to be on the Winter Wyvern. Goddamn is going to be on Tusk. And trying to figure out here who is going to be taking our last hero, but my everything is broken.
Testing, here we go.
Alright, we've got Dragon Drop back.
Hello guys inside Dota TV, sorry about that, but it's just Reborn things. Not just Reborn things, I mean that kind of bug also happened in Source 1, so...
Once in a while,
just
not
Dota
nearly
things.
as often. Choclo will be taking that Clock. If we don't...
Yeah. I mean, I could reconnect as a caster, but I've heard of issues where people are not able to reconnect if they're players in lobby games, so might have to remake that. So It's okay if we're at the beginning of the match. Not so much if we're like 15 minutes in and then you hear and they can't act, right? What happened to Monkey Business in, what was it? Fence, I want to say?
Yeah, I'm not sure which tournament it was, but I do remember the incident that you're talking about.
Funny thing is, they lost crit on Wisp and they still won the game in the end, so it was a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Yeah. That was, what, 2 days ago? And
yep.
Definitely worth checking out the VOD if you guys did not see the IO Tiny 4v5. That was that Monkey Business game.
Alright, apparently Goddamn was able to reconnect and we're only waiting on Charge though.
Alright, well why don't we kind of walk through the way this game is probably going to break down in the early part. I'm just taking a look at some of my keys because they seem to have been randomly retoggled. So walk us through, what do you think HellRaisers are going to be doing in terms of their breakdown here?
If you look at HellRaisers draft, you see the Stormspirit, you see the Winter Wyvern, you see the Tusk. That's a lot of early aggression coming out once the mid-game hits. I mean, Stormspirit hero that wants to rotate area. DK wants to get a little bit of farm that can rotate into the jungle to give some farm for one of the supports to get their level 6. And then just start picking off heroes left, right, and center. Clockwork, same kind of story. Once he hits level 6, he's also going to look to start making something happen. And if MFF let them get to that point, then if they aren't enough with their reactions to it, or they are not careful enough with their positioning, then they might just be caught in the snowball, so to speak, because they don't really have a lot of team fight to then deal with the follow-up pushes after these kind of pickoffs if they give them up, right? You have a single target from Bane, you have Darkseer has some team fight, Gyrocopter is great at just turning around these kind of early engagements, so that's what they're going to be. Apart from that,
I would say the problem with the Darkseer team fight here is that while HellRaisers do have a fair amount of physical damage, they have a lot of physical damage that is given auxiliary bonuses from magical damage, which means that the Darkseer's wall illusions are not going to be doing nearly as much as if you were playing against a team that had like Gyrocopter or Phantom Lancer, or somebody who's really hitting very hard. The Storm Spirit hits hard-ish, but a lot of that damage is going to be coming out of the magic, and the Bloodseeker hits hard-ish as well, but a lot of his damage is coming out of his Blood Rage. So the way that ends up working out is that those wall illusions aren't going to hit nearly as hard as expected. One of the problems that I see for HellRaisers here is that they have a lot of game high ground. Their best high ground strategy here, try to get some good vision for Winter Wyvern to initiate in something, and then just kind of force my freedom fighters into a on their own high. Because Bloodseeker does not high ground. Storm Spirit doesn't that much hours, which you see a lot of these games where Storm Spirit has like 14, 15 Bloodstone charges, but the game still drags to 45, 50 minutes because the high grounds are just so hard.
That is true as well. It'll really come down to the mid game for me, I think. As I mentioned before, it's can you snowball off the back of the storm to a point where you can just roll into the high ground, not really care about the defensive advantage that you get from having the choke point, or do you just let the Gyrocopter farm up, because in the late game it does fall off. Storm Spirit, not really if he keeps up with the Bloodstone charges and his item progression. Winter Wyvern is always great in the late game, but Tusk, he can make some plays as well, but it's gonna get much harder up against the Gyrocopter who can stack up on lives essentially with something like an Aegis, a Satanic, Kebby, kind of tanky that, and also right click that makes it really hard. Just take sustained fights.
Absolutely. We are ready to go, and we're going to be coming into the game here any moment, one would hope. Sorry for the delays, guys. It's just connectivity issues. You got to have the players playing at their optimal setting. So as we take a look once again, we are coming into game number 1 of HellRaisers versus Monk Freedom Fighters, and it seems that all of our troubles have dissipated. Well, all of my troubles have dissipated. That Dragon Drop won't be joining me right away, but he should be back momentarily as we see an aggressive movement out of Monkey Freedom Fighters here. Paris leading the pack, no smoke, just straight their opponent's jump. They are sitting on top of a ward on Bucking Mad. He actually try to block out. They will see Dread. It's unclear if Dread saw that Bane. He seems to be willing to err on the side of caution here as he's moving around. And nice play by HellRaisers to just kind of dissipate. Winter Wyvern making sure that he's staying on that high ground long enough to be able to see if anybody is going to chase him. Beaver Knight just keeping vision. Pings are there. The rest of HellRaisers is starting to fall over this way. Oh, Godam is a little bit... Yeah. Very aggressive vision there. Dropped right in front of the team. I do something about it.
The battle begins.
Stupendous!
Yeah. Yeah, burn being key in that title, right? It's not something that kills you right away, but it is definitely something that harasses you down over the course of a laning phase.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I believe that is a rise as well. And Afro Ninja already taking a bit of harass. Won't have his bottle out for a little while, so he should be just a touch careful. Tuskar's going to hang out in the lane. Meanwhile, Bucking Mad is going to sit back here and stack in the jungle. And they're just going to go ahead and leave Gyrocopter one-on-one against Clockwork. At level 1, this shouldn't be a problem. Might become an issue. A little bit of Clockwork gets some level advantage. This is great. The Darkseer up against Dread that is a great matchup for the Darkseer. He probably won't be able to kill Dread or even harass him down too heavily, just because obviously Dread is going to be last hits. But the benefit to that is most heroes can't even keep a Bloodseeker from diving at them. At least the Darkseer will be able to keep him in a pattern where he has to constantly be last hitting or he'll lose too much. Yep. So Dread's focus is going to be on creeps probably and not on the Darkseer. As long as Darkseer manages his...
Slip.
Ooh, big two-man stun in the mid lane on Arise. Arise is potentially going to be our first blood here. Very nice kill. Afro Ninja Bucking Mad coming in a bit too far to try and help. And he does have a Nightmare for Suicide, but he is not able to get that cast animation off quite soon enough. Really difficult spell to suicide with.
Good.
The fact that he dove in there was basically just trying to destroy. Like, you can have a first blood, maybe, but it's gonna be me. Take me instead. A falling on the sword moment. Just did not end up working out. HellRaisers coming out 2-0 out of the gate. In addition to that, not only is his Storm 2 kills deep, but with a bottle already short of 2 minutes, but he also is on top of the last hits and denies.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Bane can be great against two heroes early. In fact, he's one of the best one-on-two heroes early, or two-on-two heroes to have early. But he needs some sort of support, right? That's the key for Bane. He can Nightmare one, so he can turn any two-on-two into a one-on-two in his favor. Problem is, he doesn't survive for a long time in a one-on-two. Really got no survivability other than the fact that he can throw somebody to... And that was very needed. He had not managed his mana particularly well, and he does not yet have his Soul Ring. He's not even really very close. But once again, coming back to try and harass Dread as best as he can here, making sure that Dread's focus is going to be on last hits and not harass. Oh, all right. Well, sitting with a stand-in. Yeah, we'll look between games. As it turns out, though, HellRaisers still sitting pretty here. They are investing a lot into the... That's worth noting. Paris is sort of about to get free farm. He's about to hit the level where he's able to last hit under tower without any concerns. And while Bloodseeker is doing a little bit better right now, Bloodseeker should be easier to gank. Oh man, way out of place here. Is narrowly not able to get around. He does have a Tango. He doesn't eat through right away. He's going to get snowballed. There's the stun. It will be dodged. Very nice play. Will Mad be able to get away? No, he will not. And Storm going to move in onto WK. There's a stun. And the additional damage. There's additional stun coming out from the Storm over onto WK. Mad is actually going back in to throw out the stun. To be lifted by Afro Ninja here. Another dodge with that snowball. Now WK is going to be chased into the woods over here by the side, the tower, throwing out a bunch of damage on Goddamn, who cannot take physical damage right now. The Lena's going to go down. Now here comes out the auto attacks on the Bucking Mad, who does manage to get one before he ends up going down. Either way, that's a series of trades that you will happily take.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Ray. And just make the Nightmare completely ineffective, and that's rotation again, coming back, putting back in.
Yeah,
they just ran circles around them, right?
An interesting call. They thought with the Bane coming in, maybe they could get another kill. Brain Sap level 1 isn't quite the nuke that you need in order to make that happen. WK probably should have just faded back through the woods this way and dodged the snowball and just sort of forced HellRaisers to back up out of his lane. Maybe they could have salvaged that as a 1-for-0 mistrade and have kept the game at 3-0. Either way, when you're starting to fall behind in the early game, it's very easy to understand the temptation to try and engage. Shocklow is going to try to move on to Yapsor. If any of these mini-stuns get in range, he can't cogs. Will not happen. There is going to be the use of the Mango by Shocklow to throw down the cogs defensively. But he will actually still hang around on this end.
HellRaisers have a really sweet time right now. They will find Mad
big
again.
Rotation. Yeah, Mad is going to be going down here, almost certainly. He does have a Nightmare to try and suicide. He will instead throw it onto Shocklow and will end up going down. Uses that wand as a last-ditch effort. It's not enough. And now a rotation. 3 could go anywhere, 4 even. Could go to any lane. Meanwhile, Beaver Knight is actually being held in place here in the mid. A nice vacuum. There's going to be the wand to bring up. Now Dread is going to be forced to go away. Will not be enough. Visage comes in with the nuke to secure that kill. A nice turn of events. Going the way Monkey Freedom Fighters very desperately.
Absolutely. I mean, especially getting it on Bloodseeker, who has had pretty much free farm down there at the bottom lane. So they get something back, but I really like the way HR is playing this. They go aggressive even before they're hitting their level. Because they know that MFF, if they get down, there's even less of a chance.
Lane, we do have a sleep combo. There is going to be the Light Strike Array and the Laguna Blade. An easy kill. Going the way Monkey Freedom Fighters with that level 8. But Dread has rotated into the mid lane. Now, as has Paris. Dread not expecting that rotation. It's going to down to the face. Up, taking way too much damage. Just onto Paris. Paris cannot go down here. There's going to be the life drain coming out of Bucking Mad. Will not be enough to save his carry. Yapsor takes on as is Mad. Stun goes out, it will miss. Yapzor should be going down here. One more auto attack ought to do it from Godam, but the slow coming on the Gravekeeper will not be enough to save him, it doesn't look like. WK, meanwhile, being dove in. Beaver Knight's going to go down by the tower. Jeez. This is every side of this lane is just taking harassment. Now the Lina will end up going down. And they're just going to walk through that tier 1 tower, continue walking through like nobody's business. Harris is trying to get Godam.
Be able to finish off as well. Or Kubli.
Maybe. Oh, yeah. Miss on that shard. It's very difficult shard to land. Will end up giving a nice trade. Well, nicer for Monkey Freedom Fighters. All things said and done, though, still plays that HellRaisers are pretty happy that they're making. They're forcing rotations out of a farming carry short of 10 minutes. I mean, look at what Paris is doing right now. He's got phase boots. He's actually been gifted a bottle. It's like, might be his bottle. Looks like it was gifted to him. And he's got no items. He is not in lane. Saj is actually farming out the lane. And Paris is going to smoke up with Bucking Mad to try and make something. This is a very C to EC sort of response.
No, they know they have to though, because they've fallen so far behind. They have to make use of the Gyrocopter now when they still can, and they do. Kill on Bloodseeker down there, got him, next one on the list. Should be falling as well. Teleport comes in, but too late. Actually save anyone.
Yeah. A nice swing. Once again, way Monkey Freedom Fighters almost pulling back the kill death. They have taken control of the last hits. One of the downsides to the strategy that HellRaisers have been playing is that none of their heroes have been focusing on last hitting last 2 minutes, basically. And around that tower in the middle. If you don't maintain your kill death advantage, that comes back to haunt you very quickly. Ninja with a haste rune, try to make something happen once again here in the mid. Red is sitting in the mid, ready to respond. There's the stun on the WK. Dread going to try to dive, cannot go too far. Laguna Blade going to go out. Dread will walk away with about 25% HP. And now Afro Ninja with no mana and slept out. He does wand up. He's got a bottle to try and give himself just a little bit more. Godam throwing out the ice shards, trying to make sure that his allies are going to be safe from the rotation. And he's actually going in very, very deep just to make sure that they are pretty safe.
Be really, really careful about that though, because I've got them dicey. That's all of a sudden that's not really a good trade anymore. You see the way HR has been playing this, go very aggressive before MFF can really react. As soon as the Gyrocopter came into play, they started having to trade, because well, that's just the strength of the Gyrocopter. Yeah. Especially with phase boots, you get a lot of extra damage out front of cannon, even at the early levels.
Looks like mid lane won't be the spot of action for that much longer, as there's both teams rotating down toward that bottom lane. Beaver Knight is going to be the target of a hook. There is the call down as well onto Shockglow. Beaver Knight is going to be going down, as will Shockglow, but there is going to be the ultimate onto Paris coming out of Red. Silence going out as well, and that should be enough in order to secure the kill. And the Gyrocopter, now the Lina is here. Lina does have her ultimate. She can catch up to Afro Ninja. That is a free kill. Laguna Blade does go out, and that is going to be that 2 for 2. The aggressive potential still here for Monkey Freedom Fighters. They could dive the tower if they are willing to brave the silence. They're going to start moving toward the Tuskar. The sleep is there. Snowball, they're all going to back up to drag him as far away from the tower as possible. Stun goes out onto Mad, but the return stun is going to be enough to secure that Tuskar. And just like that, Monkey Freedom Fighters are really back in this game.
I mean, HR, they've got level 6s, they went aggressive, but they went aggressive on lanes where the Gyrocopter is in. That is not exactly what you want. Isolated targets, like in mid. That pickup on Alina before was kind of what you want to do, like, right? Go in, a haste rune here with some mobility advantage that you have anyway on a Storm Spirit, get a pick off, and then get out. And then do that over and over again. Just make sure that you keep your item aggression up and running on the back of kills, because...
Oh, Godam is in trouble here on him. He was just trying to farm. Just trying to farm a couple familiars, but now he's going to have to be forced. They did manage to get that Bane ultimate with at cost so far. Met him.
It's pretty much an ultimate trade here.
Yeah.
It's an ultimate trade from Bane and Winter Wyvern.
Yeah. For Monkey Freedom Fighters, that trade is well worth making, though, because it did force HellRaisers to react, rather than allowing HellRaisers to take action. The more time a gank heavy squad like HellRaisers is forced to react to what you're doing, spend their moves as counter initiations, the less pacing control that they're going to have in the mid game. They're going to feel like they're on the back foot, and then they're going to be forced to make some really risky moves. Oh boy, speaking of risky moves, WK down for an invisibility rune that was already taken. No vision down here. You spotted out.
Radiant's top tower.
I want to fight this though.
Storm is going to move in. And there it is. Everything is all put into one. A nice sleep by Bucking Mad. There goes the Laguna Blade as well. Tuskar will be going down. This fall down as well. Nice rotation coming out of the gyrocopter. Yapsor caught up in the cogs and is now going to be hit by that ultimate. He can't go very far. He will be silenced up, and that should be a kill for Dread. One more attack, but the stun, the chain stun, will be enough to make a trade at least. Well played by that Visage. Now Afroninja
might control it. He has a couple stick charges, but he have to zip now. It's not going to be far enough with the surge coming out from Beaver Knight. And there's Winter Wyvern, last little zip out. He needs something.
Arctic Burn, something. It's not enough. There are too many heroes here, and Godem doesn't get that memo. He's going to have to try and get away, but there is going to be the ultimate once again, holding him still and beating him up. Monkey Freedom Fighters really taking control of these team fights. Their big AoE spells, the Darkseer, the Call Down, Bucking Mad holding somebody still every fight. They're really working out for them so far.
After the good start that they had, it's really them that are getting pulled apart now. And that's MFF's turn, who don't really have the perfect lineup for game compared to what HR theoretically has. Actually finding the pickups one by one because HR they commit everything here on this one kill on Lina. They don't get it right away. Like Lina still gets the Laguna Blade off and all of her spells get the damage that they need. And then they're scattered, right? Stormspirit is walking around here on the side, the rest here popping very low on the other side behind the tier 1 tower. And those are exactly the kind of pushes that MFF is looking for with their draft. And yeah, HR, they keep teleporting into that as well. Trying to maybe save that hero teleports, but just feeding into that same kind of situation.
What really worked out for HellRaisers in the opening of the game is making sure that they have a numbers advantage in all fights. And that's really what their entire draft is revolving around. Storm Spirit likes a numbers advantage. Speaking of numbers advantage, here we go. There's going to be the sleep onto Paris just to protect him. Bucking Mad will be the target of a hookshot. And Storm Spirit moving in. The cogs are there. There's the brain tap just to buy a little bit more time. 2 heroes caught in. Dread is going to be the target down. Paris now trying to move out forward. Still a 2-for-1, and Bucking Mad not exactly the target that you want. WK just scouting out with a Light Strike Array, trying to find somebody who might be taking.
I want to commit you on Afroninja.
Won't be enough to secure that, and the surge won't be there, but now some tower aggression might be on the menu for Monkey Freedom Fighters.
Sure, and if HR try to fight this, then it's going to be ill-advised. You're just going to throw out a Splinter Blast, try and mop up the creep wave, but it's actually enough to have a wave for the time being. It's the right choice, I don't think. I think they could have taken how easily.
Oh, Afroninja is going to be in a bit of trouble here in the top river, and that's all she wrote. Or, excuse me, Afroninja is going to be causing a bit of trouble here. As WK does end up going down. All the mana used, but mana boots are now finished on the Wyvern, so build right back up. Ward here is scouting out this rotation. Dodge won't get that memo quite in time. Will be the target of a Winter's Curse as well as a Giant Silence, and this is the sort of ganking that HellRaisers really need to do with their lineup.
If they get a couple more of those, then they'll be right back at the 0 line. Comes to goals, so it's kind of back and forth game at this.
Yeah, it really
it's all for the taking, really.
The problem is that a lot of HellRaisers heroes are momentum based, especially that Bloodseeker, who, as we mentioned before, does not high ground particularly well and is a little bit item dependent in terms of stepping up in that mid game portion, actually being a damage dealer rather than just somebody to hunt down the scraps of a. And that's what HellRaisers are really relying on that Bloodseeker to become. His Bloodseeker's win rate is abysmal. It's like 40% in Pro Dota. And those are really the reasons why. He's so momentum dependent and he can't high ground whatsoever. If you throw a Bloodseeker in a non-farming carry position, his win rate actually goes up quite a bit. It goes up like somewhere between 8 and 15% depending on if you put him in the mid lane or the off lane. So that once again just goes to show how, as a damage dealer, he kind of falls off without. He's actually going to go for the Blade Mail build. which is going to be great up against potentially a Lina or maybe a Gyrocopter Bane. The problem is it doesn't help his damage output. That's once again a ganking-oriented item. They are really putting all of their eggs into the get pickoffs basket. Shocklo will be seen here. Maybe not.
They realized that in the long run, they won't really be able to contest up against the Gyrocopter, who is building a BKB right now. So, Blade Mail, he doesn't really care about that. The only thing he cares about is these big ultimates for Wyvern and Clockwork, and Rupture as well. Still plenty of things to deal with.
Speaking of Rupture, Paris is going to be the target of it. He's going to throw down a zoning call down just to protect himself. It looked like this was going to become a fight, but HellRaisers not really willing to commit to it, even though they know where everybody is now. Said they're going to push in a bit, but against the Ion Shell and the Gyrocopter, I don't think they're really going to be able to do any significant damage here. They're waiting for an opportunity to grab a Winter's Curse, potentially. There's no mobility up on the Wyvern, although he does have that Glimmer Cape up now.
Really, really strong item on the weapon, so that'll allow them to take these kind of team fights a little bit more reliably, especially up against the mechanism things in here on the docks here. Put allow MFF just fight that a little bit longer. So now they have the ability to just go YOLO on F1 Ninja on the Storm Spirit essentially.
Oh
and
boy! Yo, Winter Wyvern's going to come up here right up and in for the Winter's Curse. A great play, but there is going to be the Gyrocopter just pumping out tons of damage. We'll end up going down. That's 3 down, 4 down almost. 4 Monkey Freedom Fighters, only 1 for the HellRaisers. Dread is going to try to get away, will not be able to. Bucky Mad will be the next target as Shocklo comes through. He has no mana. A very, very nice play by the Winter Wyvern here just to give the health regen to keep Afro Ninja alive as Yapster tries to secure something, and that's a 5-man swing. I just want to point out at Metpum's amazing play here, coming up through the lack of vision on that impassable terrain, using that ability to get perfect location for a Winter's Curse to open up that fight. That fight was chaotic, but HellRaisers really kept a cool mind and targeted down one hero at a time. Meanwhile, Monkey Freedom Fighters really split their damage and did not really seem to be coordinated throughout that entire endeavor.
So really case in point as well of what we're saying about the Glimmer Cape. I mean, you have the potential to save this case. I think it was Tusk on the high ground being exposed. And that kind of drops the entire chain of initiation from Monkey Freedom Fighters on the back of that Nightmare. So all of a sudden you don't really do any damage anymore, then you have all the mobility from HR coming in to get you, right? All the crowd control from the Clockwork, Afro Ninjas rounds with less to worry about because you've already blown some of your control on that initial target.
That, by the way, was a 6,000 net worth swing between that fight, or the gank rather, that happened just before that, and that in favor of HellRaisers. So that was a net worth swing greater than the highest amount of net worth achieved by either team. Tom is going to be going down here. They're going to commit 2 ultimates for this. Cooldown is a really short cooldown, though, so you might as well just use it like a handshake in that situation.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. That Fiend's group, they could have technically probably just went for the Nightmare. Oh god, middle lane. WK in trouble.
Oh, speaking of which, Lena will end up going down here to Shocklo. There's a missile getting it from across the map. It was Afro Ninja and the Tuskar. Bam. And Dread just going to do a bit of slip pushing. This is really the sort of situation that HellRaisers is. Is this largely because the Gyrocopter falls off at a certain point in the game? And oh, here we go. Bucky Mad is going to be held back. Shocklo's Blade Mail is going to prevent him from being able to do very much at all, and he is silent, so he will not be able to get away or suicide out of this situation. The Gyrocopter, though, as I was saying, Paris, is really great, as you mentioned, for the first 10, maybe 15 minutes, just because of his single target damage and his splash potential. You get that call down, it's very low cooldown, high damage output, it's got a high amount of control with the slow. So it can isolate a hero in one of these side fights. You can absolutely wreck him with Rocket Barrage. You can push well to make sure that you're maintaining control of your lanes. But until you get some survivability on him, he starts to fall off around that 10 to 15 minute mark, and he continues to fall off indefinitely until you get either some sort of survivability, meaning lifesteal coming out of the Helm of the Dominator, which was a classic build, or in this case, the Black King bar, and ideally some additional right-click damage as well. And a lot of these kills have been interfering, really, with Paris's ability to go out and get creep farm. It has been hurting his ability to get those items up.
Absolutely agree. Gyrocopter does have that mid slump, especially considering capes coming up on HR, not just on the Winter Wyvern, but also the Tusk. He picked one up for himself, looking for Medallion as well. So Roshan might be on their list too, unless they decide to maybe smoke in there. They should have a Medallion on Visage, actually a complete Solar Crest. So that might be tired that they want to be very dangerous up against a team like HR have with that. Actually with the Clockwork here, control around the pit. Ideally, you want to have a pick-off or two before you go for that kind of play, and that's exactly what they're looking for, securing their own jungle in the process, but they might be finding Dread in time up here.
Yeah, Monkey Freedom Fighters have plenty of time to make this work, though. They have plenty of time to get the farm out onto the Gyrocopter, as long as they don't just consistently get off by the very ganky squad that HellRaisers have put together. The ball is really in their court, because as long as Storm Spirit doesn't have Bloodstone, he's not getting Bloodstone charges, and that's really what feeds into the Storm Spirit into that late game, right? Those Bloodstone charges make him unwieldy. And so he did go for, once again, that gank-oriented build with the Orchid first. What Freedom Fighters have to do is make sure they're not being targeted by a successful gank attempt until that Bloodstone comes out, and Paris will have plenty of time to catch back up, as will WK on the Lino. Really pump out quite a bit of DPS. He does not yet have her Cyclone Staff up, which is a really bad sign at 23 minutes. Again, they have time to farm as long as they don't get over-aggressive.
And you mentioned it dropped, or just after that, they do have really good high ground defense. They have a lot of spam care of these waves, so unless they fall really far behind, they're going to be able to hold the high ground and eventually get to these items that make these kind of heroes really, really hard to deal with. The Seal Scepter and the Aghanim Scepter on the Lina.
They're going to smoke up, and Mad is going to be revealed. He knows somebody's in this camp. It is Dread. Will Mad come in? He's not quite in range. He will get it, but the Force Staff is there to get Dread far enough away that there's not really that much to be done. Maybe there is. Nobody comes to his defense. Storm Spirit teleports away.
That's a BKB shown off on Paris that made them make their decision. The Orchid came out and then immediately the BKB just deny any sort of counter aggression from the and
that was the reveal too. Well worth it. Oh, the Cyclone revealed here as well in the mid lane, as Wyvern will be going down.
Kind of effect that you want to have and keep back up in full fighting shape with all these arcane boots on their team.
Yeah.
They have a lot of sustain that they actually can take these kind of pickups on their own, even fights as well. If they find a good opening to do so. But yeah, 2 heroes down, they get these pickoffs, and now they're looking for Roshan. Will be scattered out by HR though.
I am a little bit surprised to see HellRaisers farming out in this area of the map with no tier 2 to pressure and no vision on the south side of their opponent's jungle. That seems a little aggressive to me, and it really ended up being too aggressive, having this camp, which is seen by their only ward.
It's a little bit of overconfidence.
It was a bit of overconfidence. Speaking of overconfidence here, Bucking Mad is going to be going down immediately. There's going to be a very, very nice snowball, and Storm Spirit is going to grab that Aegis, and they also managed to get the last hit on Roshan, getting that extra surge of gold. The Absol is the last one remaining. Everybody was so low there. Bloodseeker just ripped through them, and now Yaps are trying to buy as much time as possible, but will not be enough.
All that burst damage.
A lot of that was the Bloodseeker silence, and then the Tuskar snowball as well. That everybody was already kind of low from trying to tank that Roshan. You can check the combat log to tell us exactly what was the biggest bet. But Afro Ninja as well came in with almost an entire mana pool, probably his entire mana pool. For that giant nuke. So the three of those things together, when people are already low and there's no warning vision. We were just talking about this, a lack of vision and an aggressive positioning from a team hurting them. Monkey Freedom Fighters, the symptom of this very thing that put them back onto the map.
Yeah, I mean, almost felt like, they definitely felt that they could take safely in that HR. Really want to go for that kind of play with down, but had the heroes left to do that. Clockwork picked up the Bane in front on the high ground here before the fight even really started, so that's controlling factor out of the picture. Bloodseeker came back with a rather low death time, and of course with everyone low, Roshan, he's gonna be there pretty damn quickly, teleporting tier 1 mid.
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure on Monkey Freedom Fighters there to go in and make sure that they are getting that Roshan, though. Oh, I'll come back onto this point because Bucky Matt is probably going to be going down here. The Winter's Curse goes out onto Paris through the BKB. Now Clockwork throws him into the Cogs. He's going to be thrown up into the Cycle. Meanwhile, WK is going to be taken down by Afro Ninja here. As Go Down is going to go ahead and try to cloak himself up as Paris is going down as well. Beaver Knight going to walk away, should be fine. Yapsor as well, but another 3 heroes down, and this is potentially a high ground siege. No buybacks for Monkey Freedom Fighters. Shouldn't be enough time to get racks. Might be enough time to grab the tower.
Force out buybacks if there were any, but yeah, it was a really well coordinated fight. It's a really good initiation from HR. We see Afro Ninja just zipping straight in, silencing the Bane who's standing there since one down. Then Gyrocopter also way too far forward in that kind of situation. Tier 2 being that low as it was. BKB, but he gets isolated first by Winter's Curse, so that's the immediate response. Then Clockwork comes in with a hookshot, isolating him in the Cogs, so he can't really get out and can't really do too much either, because, well, you talked about it. His magic damage, pretty care about that at this point.
Here we go. Joshua is going to find the WK. The call down is there, but it's only going to hit 2, and it's actually going to hit 3, but a lot of blade mails. Gyrocopter will end up going down here. The Afro Ninja just has to click him up. Scar is going to snowball through, past the tier 3, into the tier 4s, and the GG is called. There's just nothing that can be done at this point. It all comes down to that Roshan attempt. They were starting to get back into it, and they played just a little bit past the line and were really heavily punished.
Yeah, and well, you said it, they had a lot of pressure on actually getting that Roshan because, well, because of exactly what happened. Stormspirit, Aegis in hand, can actually go high ground because you don't really care about dying once.